Now, on this program, we've been cataloguing Labor's list of broken promises. Of course, the central one is that promise to cut our power bills by $275 a year. Good luck with that one. They've sort of tripled that increase so far. But let's turn to aged care, where Labor made a big commitment during the election campaign. Here's how it went.
Yeah, our commitment is to get nurses into nursing homes 24/7 and provide that standard of care that older Australians need and deserve.
Thousands of nurses have left the aged care sector over recent years. We'll be about attracting people back. What we're going to do is to put our shoulder to the wheel. We're going to fix the aged care crisis.
Now, the government, then coalition government and other experts pointed out this promise was impossible to live up to back at the time. And now we learn that at least 23 aged care homes have shut their doors since September, unable to find enough staff to meet the new mandates. Let me bring in Ian Henschke, who's the National Seniors Chief Advocate. Good to talk to you again, Ian, because we talked a lot in the lead up to the election. Now, I remember when Labor promised they'd get a nurse 24/7 into aged care homes. This had been a recommendation by the Royal Commission. The Coalition said, yeah, they're committing to doing that, but they couldn't do it by the deadline. They said there wasn't enough nurses. And so it was all up front. We all knew the challenge. The Labor said they could do it anyway, but hey, presto, they haven't been able to go close.
Well, the deadline's not there yet. They actually have to obviously audit all this, but I've been told by people that work in aged care that most aged care homes have nurses there anyway. There may be a shortage, and we'll soon find that out when they do the auditing. But I think the deadline is, it was originally under the Coalition, I think going to be in October, and it's been brought forward. They said they would bring it in from July, so we'll have to see what happens then. You also have to remember that in the latest budget, there was a 15% pay rise that's been promised to everybody who works in aged care. The nurses and obviously the care workers will get that 15% pay rise. So I imagine they're hoping that people will do that. But look,
yeah, hopefully that'll keep.
Right.
Hopefully that'll keep.
Likely to be.
Yeah, hopefully that'll keep more people in the sector and maybe attract more in, because I think most people would accept that's a pretty fundamental thing you'd want in aged care homes and nursing 24/7. Why have we seen 23 homes close? Is this a sign that the sector's still in crisis, or is this a sign that we're getting some, I suppose, rationalisation and improving services around the country?
Well, you've got to look at the facts between 2020 and 2022. I think there was about 70 or something aged care homes closed. So you're looking at probably homes closing all the time, and I mean, a new one just opened in Victoria. So, I mean, there's always going to be that rationalisation taking place. So I think it's slightly higher than was in the previous 2 years. But, Chris, you've got to remember one thing, and I think this is actually an extraordinary thing that wasn't really highlighted by virtually anyone during the budget, and that was that the Labor government is now predicting that over the next period of the budgetary cycle, there'll be a saving of $2.2 billion. And that's going to come from people staying in their own home and not moving into aged care homes. If you actually have a look at the occupancy of aged care, it's actually flatlining at around the 200,000 mark. Now, the population of people who would be going into aged care is going up astronomically, but they're staying at home. So people are doing what we talked about on this program a couple of years ago when the Royal Commission first opened. They want to stay in their own home, not go into an aged care home. So they're going into aged care at a later stage, and they're more frail. And there's going to be a greater need for highly trained people in aged care. So, Chris, it's not about the numbers of people or even the nurses that are going in there. It's going to be whether those people have been trained in dementia care and in palliative care and all the sorts of things that we would see in a hospital system. Now, many people are saying to me that the aged care system now should be more of a hospital system. It's not a sort of place you drive your car into and bring your bags in and say, look, I've turned up for aged care. It's not that sort of place anymore at all. It's really dealing with the most frail and most vulnerable people at the very end stage of life.
And this is in large part a pleasing trend, right? Because most people want to stay at home, and you've been calling for years for more government support, more home care packages, so that people can stay in their home. It's better for them, it's better for their families, and in the end, it's better for government as well because it's more cost effective.
It saves money. But now, Chris, here is the big one. This is what National Seniors have been saying. You need to have a dedicated training program where you attract mature age workers, because often they're the ones that have had the lived experience, and then you pay them while they're being trained. You give them a level 4 certificate, which is in dementia training. You select them carefully. You promise them a job at the end of their training. They do on-the-job training while they're going through. They do classroom work and they do on-the-job training at the same time, and then you have to give them a minimum number of hours while they're training, and at the end of it you actually have very good workers. Now, this was actually trialled by Minister Pizzoni in South Australia a year or so ago. It was done with an aged care provider, and it was highly successful.
That's
so
what we need.
know the
more
government can do it. We told the government that this should be done. We recommended 2,000 traineeships be done. It was in our budget submission, and we'd like to talk to government about how they can do it, because there are ways of fixing it.
We'll follow up with that.
During the Second World War, we didn't have pilots. We trained them.
Great stuff. Great
Thanks
training.
very much, Chris.
We're going to find the people, train them up, and hopefully that 15% helps as well. Thanks very much, Ian. Appreciate it. Ian Henschke there for Seniors Australia.